Hi, Solos. Today we're going to be talking about how to bill clients and how to get paid. Hi, Solos. Before we head out for the weekend, I wanted to tackle just a couple of quick questions that are really common with new solos. One is, how the heck do I invoice my client? And two, what's the best way to collect payments? So invoicing is pretty simple. You can present a professional invoice to a client pretty easily. You can actually create one using, Microsoft Word or Google Docs. There are so many examples out on the web. But I like using systems so that you can keep track of all of your invoices. You can have a standard template. And my favorite tool to use for invoicing and billing is FreshBooks. I feel like they really get small business owners and they really understand solos. And so they have a lot of tools and features designed around our needs. And so with a system like FreshBooks, you can actually track your time. You can then take that time and click a button and it'll generate an invoice. You can track multiple clients. You can present your invoice and you can actually even collect payment through the system. So that's one option. Some people use QuickBooks, and if you already are a QuickBooks user and have it, that's another great option to utilize. On the payment side, believe it or not, many solo PR pros have their clients pay by check, the good old-fashioned way. They come via snail mail, client cuts a check from their accounting department and sends it to the solo, and that's perfectly okay. But there are a couple of things that you should really be aware of. If you have international clients and you're going to do bank transfers, you need to be aware of the transfer fees for international. That's something that you should talk to your bank about in advance so that you ensure that you're covering all of the administrative cost in your client bill rate. What you don't want to do is charge a rate and then find out that there are these hefty fees that you didn't include in your overhead. So it's a good idea to find that information out in advance and then understand what information is needed in order to bill. International payments can also take a little bit longer. Even with all of the fintech apps and all of the tools that we have, international payments remain something that's super complex and is not as easy as just having a client Venmo you a payment. So, good old-fashioned check is one way. Regular bank transfers from domestic, so if your client is within the United States, if you're US based and you want to do a bank transfer that way, that's fine too. That's a faster way to get paid and it eliminates the paper. Although every client is not going to be able to accommodate that. So believe it or not, most clients, especially larger organizations, you're going to have to deal with just a good old-fashioned check. And so you want to make sure of a couple of things. Again, know what the bank fees are, understand your client's method of payment, and you also want to look at the timing. So if you're billing at the beginning of the month or at the end of the month, be sure to understand when you are really going to get a check from a client. A lot of times it can be a 30-day wait. And so again, you always want to make sure that you're covered and you want to make sure that your fees take into account all of these little intricacies around collecting payment and billing. Because just because you bill doesn't mean that you'll have the money right away. There are, however, a lot of clients that pay really quickly. They might pay within 7 to 10 days, some even faster because they just get it out in the mail right away and you're paid. But you want to add some cushion and just plan and make sure that you're covered in the event that it is going to take a little bit longer. You can also take credit cards, but again, be aware that there are fees for doing that. And there's so many ways to take credit cards. You can use PayPal, you can use Stripe, you can use your bank system. The going rate is about 2.5% of whatever the bill is. Might be 2.5% to 3%, but you can check that out. And so you can weigh those options as well. And again, do your research, understand what how your clients are going to pay you and build those fees into your overhead. Not every client is going to want to do credit card or has the capability to do that. Again, if you're dealing with large organizations, that's probably not something that you can expect. Mid-size organizations, sometimes they will, and smaller organizations absolutely have the capability to do that. And it's a fast way of getting paid. You can present a bill and you can run a credit card. I've had clients in the past where I just stored the card. We had an agreement and I just auto charged it every month. That was, really convenient for them and for me. And sometimes you will have clients like that, but you just know that there's a cost of doing business. What you don't want to do is go back and say to the client, oh, this costs X amount of dollars and I didn't account for that. And so you want to add it to your invoice. I'd rather know all of the costs that are upfront and understand all of my overhead costs and make sure that my rates are going to leave me profitable. And then the cost of collecting money, wire transfers, fees, even the cost of the accounting stuff is the cost of doing business. And those are all things that I believe that, are costs that I am planning on bearing. But again, it's your business and you can do things your way. In earlier videos, we talked about how some solos build in an administrative fee into all of their contracts. It's usually a small fee, maybe $150, $200 admin fee that covers things like subscriptions and any other additional costs that are not direct expensed. That's another way that you can do things. You may even have clients that will do things like they don't mind paying you through Zelle or Venmo. There's so many other payment methods, particularly if you're working on a project and the dollars are not, if it's not $10,000, $15,000, those alternative payment methods can come in really handy. I think the theme of today, though, is understand how your clients prefer to pay, because the invoicing part is really the easy part, but understand how your clients like to pay. And it's important for you to understand the associated cost with any methods of payment. I hope that helps, and I hope you'll be billing lots of clients very soon.